Bonsoir, comment ça va?
It's really nice to see you, Bryan. Can you hear us?
Nice to see you too. I'm just setting up our so I can hear you.
All right.
There.
Okay.
Okay. And so I don't have a painting coming out of my head.
Is this your house?
There we
Your
are.
house?
You're at my house. Welcome to my house.
Okay, so welcome to Paris. We are with journalists and bloggers from France, and we are all very happy to see you tonight because you're so popular here in France. So thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have, they are all eager to ask you some questions. So maybe if I have one, maybe can you tell us about your part in Dalton Trumbo? Was it a famous character that you knew before you entered into the movie, or?
It was a character that I was familiar with from a basic standpoint, in the sense that I knew he was a Hollywood screenwriter, that he wrote Spartacus, that he was one of the so-called Hollywood 10. I didn't remember that he actually went to prison, and I've forgotten the other movies that he had written, like The Brave One, and the other films. I'm blanking right now, sorry. But so I had to do a lot of research on that end to it, to figure out who the man was, and to get his sensibility. So I was fortunate enough to be able to talk to his daughters, who are still alive and well, and other people who knew him. And then there are 2 biographies written about him, and a certain amount of video and audio tapes that helped me get a sense of his tonal qualities and things like that, and that was very helpful.
All right. Une question?
I wonder how Jay Roach, how Jay Roach helped you, because he's very good in politics, and he did the documentary about the election in the United States. How did he help you to understand the context of the movie?
Well, the best of all worlds is when your writer and your director and your actor can come together as a triumvirate and pull all their creative and ambitions together. The curiosity that we have, the desire to create an honest piece of work, set us all on a pathway to do as much research as we can. But with every storytelling, whether you're on stage or whether you're making a film, there's a certain amount of theatrical license that is necessary to truncate the storylines over the course of however many years, to take characters and into an amalgamation and reduce the amount of characters so that it's clearer to the audience who people are and what they represent. So those decisions are really the toughest. The fun part is doing the research and looking into Hollywood history at that time and what the sensibility was in America at that time, and Europe for that matter, that what used to be our allies in communist Russia was now on a different track than appeals to any enlightened diplomatic sensible country, and that the word these who were recently helped the Allies to defeat Hitler are now in their own right a cause for concern and alarm. And so now, in America anyway, there was this new Red Scare that permeated everything. And the government took upon itself to be the judge and jury to determine what is acceptable behavior and what is not acceptable behavior. And it was a dark period in our history when these 10 men specifically went to prison knowingly not committing a crime. It's one thing to have someone go to prison who is falsely accused of a crime. It's another thing to have men who were accepted to have not committed any crime and still sent to prison. That's the story we were telling here. Jay Roach is a terrific director. I did another movie with him after Trumbo, and I'm very excited about another opportunity to work with him again, because we challenge each other, we encourage each other, we help each other along the way, and it's really a great team.
Cool, thank you. We have another question.
Hello. Just right.
Bonsoir.
So, at the end we have this great speech by Dalton Trumbo. Of course, you studied the character in order to act. And do you think, as in the movie, Helen goes and tell him just before he dies that Dalton is doing all of that just for himself, just for his job, just for money, and not really for every other people, every other screenwriters? Do you think at the end of the movie that Dalton won for himself, for his job, for screenwriting, for other screenwriters, or something else maybe? Thank you.
The end of the movie, the speech at the end was largely taken from transcripts from the Writers Guild Laurel Awards that he did receive at the conclusion of the blacklist, and it gave him an opportunity to express himself as he truly felt. And though he personally had a natural humanistic release of his anger and his resentment, he felt that at that time it wouldn't be productive. So his speech was largely an olive branch offering to those who either agreed with him, disagreed with him, to try to start the healing process, as opposed to continuing with the name calling or placing blame or venting his own personal anger. He was criticized for that speech, even by his wife, who thought that let the people who created this great mess, he let them off the hook by not calling them on the carpet and saying, "This is what you did, this is what you created, how dare you, shame on you." Instead, he took that point of view that everyone involved was victimized, and there were no heroes and villains, and only victims. And he did that on that purpose, to try to create a sense of an aftermath of let's never forget this, but let's try to move on from here and go on with our lives.
Thank you.
Hi, Bryan. My name is Jules. One time I heard you said after Breaking Bad production, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. And I would like to know, after this production from this movie, after all this performance, will you say the same thing? And maybe you want to to tell us about the after work?
Yeah, I do. I'm personally a person who likes to have an experience, and the older I get, the less material things that I'm interested in and more experiential. I have also a saying that I think you would appreciate. Don't save that really nice bottle of wine for some special occasion. Now is the special occasion. And, you know, I recognize that we live in a world that is ephemeral, and instead of trying to push away from that, I embrace that live for now, enjoy these moments, enjoy your friends, you know, you celebrate and also commiserate together when it's called for. So my experience on Breaking Bad was that. I had 6 years of a wonderful experience telling a very unique story. And then it's time, and experience telling this story about Dalton Trumbo and the Hollywood 10 and the Red Scare in America at the time is wonderful. That's the great thing about being an actor. And I think that journalists such as yourself share in that as well, is that we are able to then quench our curiosity by doing the research, looking into certain aspects of life that we may not have known before. And by virtue of the fact that I'm going to play a character, I need to be able to immerse myself into that world and find out everything I can about the man and the times and the sentiment and the social acceptance and where it is and at what time in history it is. And so do you. I mean, you get to tap into that, you get that experience, and then you're on to something else, on to the next story. And I'm in that same ilk, is that I enjoy that variety of experience.
Hi, Mr. Cranston. What do you think your movie finds some echoes in Americans' today's society in a good or in a bad way?
I'm sorry, the question again?
Do you think the subject of the movie finds some echoes in American society today in a good or in a bad way?
Yes, good point. Well, in America, as you may know, right now, politically, we're going through a revolution of sorts. One that certainly I haven't seen in my lifetime, and maybe not in the last 100 years, where we have polarizing characters who are representing different thoughts and ideologies. And in a general sense, I think it's good, because it gets people's attention, and their investment in their own government is a good thing. Specifically, I am not of the ilk to support someone who is so egocentric and narcissistic, like Donald Trump, who by some way has been able to manage to get through his apparent message to a certain amount of people. But I have confidence that logic and common sense will end up ruling the day, and he will not become our president. So if that was any fear of yours, I think you can be assuaged of that concern.
Hi, Brian. I'm here. First of all, thank you for playing the father who has seen me grow up in my home, and the professor of chemistry that made me discover how a TV show could be a masterpiece. You have directed, produced, and written TV shows episodes. What side of camera do you prefer to be? And Dalton Trumbo was a way to celebrate your other jobs, not only acting?
Boy, I'm trying to decipher that question. If I understood it correctly, is a comment about Breaking Bad? Is that true?
Yeah. No. Diane?
So he was wondering which side of the camera you prefer, because you directed, you written some episodes of Breaking Bad, and in Dalton Trumbo you only acted, so is it something that you prefer, or do you want to do more in the near future?
I do like directing. To me it's harder than acting in many ways, but very rewarding in its own right. As an actor, you only need to focus on what your character wants, what your character is after, who's helping your character achieve that, who's in your way, and that sort of thing. So it's very, very self-contained in your self-interest. And a director has to think of all those things, all the character's interests, and as well as the technical aspect of where to place the camera, or the pacing of the storytelling. Think about what kind of music you'd want to have to enhance the emotional impact of any given scene. To be a director, you need to enjoy massive puzzles and very difficult